What's going on, everyone? We are doing we are going to do our makeup Thirsty Thursday here live in Louisville at the downtown Marriott.
It's still nice of the Marriott to have us, isn't it? I'm sure that they were looking forward to our live recording today of this podcast. There's so many people in the audience right now. We can't show you. It's not laugh tracked, I promise you. So if you do hear anything, yeah, that's just the strippergram that we got in the back. We went, yeah, we went with the police officer motif this year. She tried to fake arrest Matt. Her name's Cinnamon. She's a very nice lady. Hopefully you'll see her all later, but for now we can't put her on camera. YouTube rules, all that jazz. But we do have Zach with us, and we got Ray live in person. So this is actually the first one we've ever done live. We don't know how it's going to go, and there are no expectations, just like any other show that we'll do. So we're just going to keep it real and see what happens. So, other thing,
We are sponsored by Rabbit Hole. Fuzzy Hole Bourbon has decided to show up and reach out and offer us a couple bottles, and so we appreciate them for being a show sponsor. And thank you for the bourbon. We will enjoy that as we digest this episode.
Indeed, there'll be a lot of digestion tonight and on from there. So this is the first thing that we're doing here today. This is the day of our live show. So if you're watching this later, you weren't here for Dirty Deeds. Tonight is our live show here in Louisville. Should be fun. Zach is going to be a guest of that tonight, but like Matt said, I was sick. Matt was out. We've got a lot of things happening trying to get ready to do this live event. So we wanted to have Zach live. So Zach, welcome, man. How you doing?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Doing great, man. So, all right, Zach, what we know about you, you're from Utah. You wear many hats. You've been in the lawn care business a long time. How did you get here to be sitting in front of our sorry candy asses?
How far do you want me to start back?
You go back as far as you want to go, brother.
Okay. Well, I've always had a niche in the something for grass outdoors since I was a kid. I was thinking about this with my mom. I was telling Matt earlier when I lived in Helena. It was up on Fort Harrison up there. They had a bunch of common grounds.
Mm-hmm.
And the irrigation up there in the 80s, they had the quick coupler sprinklers.
Okay.
With the impacts on top of them. It's
Yeah.
just like when you were like this damn tall, 4 feet, you took off, and we came to find you. The groundskeeper found you with the whole pile of sprinklers. They were taller than I was. I collected them all, took them out of the ground, made a pile of them.
Whoops.
Yeah. But I always had I've always had an inkling for grass lawns, even agriculture overall. Getting into the industry, graduated with a degree in criminal justice. Didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. You know, there was going to be no money in with just taking a bachelor's degree. So I said, what am I going to do? And I always had that niche for lawn care. So I started a company in about 2001. I didn't want anything to do with mowing or maintenance at the time, but I had a friend that's still a dear friend to me now. Now she was a manager for Flying J, which is Pilot now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She got us some pretty good maintenance contracts and started in maintenance more than we did, the per square fertilizing, and did that for, kept building a business for, and then getting about 07, 08, just got getting tired of employees. So I need to do something different. So.
Oh wait, what a year to have the midlife crisis, right?
Yeah,
How much of that was economic pressure?
It was not so much economic. It was just employees. I was tired. I was burned out. I was getting burned out.
What about it though? Like just the managing part?
Yeah, the managing, right? People showing up to work, and babysitting people. So just the day-to-day grind. And I told my wife at the time, I was like, the law school. So I started studying for the bar, or not for the bar, for the LSAT, and took the LSAT in 07, 08, and was admitted to the University of Utah. SJ20 School of Law, and graduated there in 2011. It's actually law school. People know about law school. It's a 3-year program. I got out of there in 2.5 years.
Well, see, some people listen. Some people buy a Miata. Some people go to law school and graduate in 2.5 years.
Say hey, you know what? I'm struggling with lawn care right now. I feel like I'm kind of hit a wall. You know, I'm going to make some adjustments in my life. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go to law school.
Yeah.
180. Total
That's-
180.
yeah, we need to get.
I'll go past the bar.
Right.
We need to get. We need to do a dual episode sometime and have Jesse Bousquet and him because Jesse did something similar. So and then decided he was going to go. So how did that? I'm curious on that thought process. Like,
Where did you find the drive? Like,
yeah, literally, like just the mental.
I don't know
energy.
if I don't know if I could have done it with going to law school. You have to have a bachelor's degree, right? So
yeah.
I don't know if I would have had it if I had to start from ground zero.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I could have done that. But my mom always instilled, I don't give a shit what you do, get an education, right? And
Sure.
and that was up, and that was I had no idea where I was going, but I knew if I had to pick it up again, I wasn't going backwards, right? I
Yeah.
have employees that have never got a GED, and I told them, I'm like, it's never getting easier, dude. Now you're gonna have to go backwards,
Yeah.
Don't go backwards. If you don't know what you're gonna do, at least set up where you can go forward.
Yeah.
You don't go backwards and go to GED or whatever. I never wanted to do that. So graduated. It's kind of funny because my class the graduation class was in July of 12. I actually was admitted. I still walked with my class in graduation, but I was admitted to the bar the day before graduation.
No shit.
Yeah, I was licensed before my
Oh
my
my
classes
goodness.
walked. So
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, suffice to say, Zach's a smart motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah.
so you may.
My brain is moving.
Yeah, the inferiority complex is sky high.
Yeah, so I'm feeling smart, motherfucker. I'm feeling even more inadequate.
I'm real bright too.
I make grass green.
So that one time,
Grass torts.
I
Okay, so what kind of law do you practice now, or has it changed any since you got into?
It's like any business, I did never want to work for anybody. So I started, and hung my shingle. At the time, kind of took whatever you get, right?
Yeah.
Like any business, right? But lately, my niche is mainly DUIs and criminal defense, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's fun. I mean, people, especially in Utah, people think, oh, you get charged with a DUI, you're automatic.
Yeah.
And that does have its, there's some truth to that, but it's some funny shit what people do.
All right, we need to do a PSA. PSA, because we got a lawyer here. We're going to get free legal advice. He gets free grass advice from us, and we're going to get free legal advice. I've been drinking. I've had, maybe 4 or 5 with dinner, whatever. I get pulled over, and give me the short version. I don't want a whole bunch of legal advice for free, but what should you do and what should you not do if you get pulled over, if you've been drinking, or if you even haven't been drinking, you're suspected of drunk driving.
So in Utah, I don't know. I don't have every state law
Sure.
memorized, but in Utah they call it implied consent, right? So the day you get your license, if you're 16, 17, right, and they're on out in Utah, if you're asked, for a breath test or blood test, you give it. If you refuse in Utah now, it's actually a criminal charge for refusal, and your license suspension. So in Utah, your first suspension on your driver's license is 120 days. But if you refuse a chemical test, it's 18 months.
Whoa.
18 months. So it's significant.
That
It is significant.
actually, that sounds similar to the law in Hawaii for the longest time, and that is why, for example, I absolutely do not drink in Hawaii.
Yeah.
I just don't do it because if something should happen, my chances of getting out of it are basically slim to none because there's the implied consent law, and there's also refusal is considered an admission.
Oh yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And I've heard that in some states.
Yeah, refusal.
I was the same. Yeah.
Refusal is an admission, and the process to get your license back once it has been suspended due to either refusal, and oh, by the way, the refusal itself is an issue with your insurance company as well.
Yeah.
Well, we're sitting with someone who has been charged with a DUI, and That would be me. And it was a motor vehicle accident, and they drew blood, and I was within the legal limit, and so I was not convicted, but boy was I on the edge.
So my first
.078.
in Utah was
Well done.
.08.
Yeah.
Thanks, Metabolism.
It does.
That still passes.
C's get degrees, right?
Right. In Utah, it's .05 now. It was .08 forever.
Wow.
I did not know.
Yeah, it's
Holy
0.05.
smokes!
And my advice, being a criminal defense attorney, people are like, well, what's your, like kind of what DeMay was asking about your advice, what to do. Like, don't drink and drive. That's
Well,
my
and
advice.
we're not advocating. That's the thing.
No,
Yeah, but it happens, and you get yourself in that situation. I think people freeze up, do things that maybe they shouldn't do, and all those tests are meant to just collect evidence, right?
They are. I mean, I get a lot of officers, on the stand that will say, "Oh, we didn't pass the field spray." Like, it doesn't say it's pass fail. It's not a, you know what I mean? It's a reasonable standard so they can keep investigating, right?
Right.
Those field sobriety tests are not passed. They're not.
Yeah.
And in Utah, you can refuse those. I think you can refuse those in any state. The field sobriety.
Mhm.
It's the chemical test.
Yeah.
When it gets different, like Ray was saying, in different states. So
Yes.
you can refuse the field sobriety test.
You're also talking to someone who has, on 3 separate occasions, taken field sobriety tests. That is outside of the motor vehicle accident where they drew blood. What's interesting was that I was not drinking in all 3 of those scenarios, and I still had to take a field sobriety test. And I just went along with it and passed. Well, it's not pass fail, but it did not generate
You
enough.
performed well.
Apparently.
Yeah.
And that's why I kept saying, I was like, I'll take a breathalyzer. I have not been drinking. They're like, well, just stand here and lean back, touch your fingers 2 hours away. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I was there twice. 3 times, too. So.
It's all about getting those plate appearances, Matt. You got to get comfortable. You got to get comfortable in the batter's box,
Practice. It's all
You
good.
So
They knew I was from Memphis.
So from lawyering all this time, has that helped or hurt in any way? Like, so when I say hurt, has it taken too much time away from your business and helped in just terms of the people you meet, the experiences you've had? Has anything helped your business on the green industry side?
I try to keep it, separate, both businesses. I don't want people to like freak out. Oh my God, that guy's an attorney and he sprays law. I try to keep that separation.
Okay.
But some of my I've had for years high-end customers, they know, right? They know. But I'm not involved with the business, with the lawns as much as I used to. I don't have the time. My ex-wife actually runs a lot of it, right? I'll still help with the routing, and I'll talk to the bitchy customers, right? No, that just happens, and help the guys with chemical
Well,
formulations.
that's what I was going to ask. Is the type of communication that you picked up from practicing law helped communicate with
Huge.
customers? Yeah.
Usually, and every new customer, and Ray can attest this, every new customer, because I'm not. One drawback not doing maintenance anymore is you don't see those lawns every week, right? You're not on those properties. So when you're first square, you've got maybe you're 10 to 15% of what happens with that property. The rest is in agronomy, right? They got to know what the hell they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I get any new customer, I emphasize, hey, you're there 365 days. We're only there, 4 to 6 times?
Right.
Pick up a damn phone and call me.
Yeah.
Communication is key.
Yeah. Communication is everything, right,
Yep.
Zach? Because here's the thing that I tell people, and in my business is I say, you know what? Look it. I don't live here. Okay? I don't live here.
I can if you want me to.
You can if you yeah, but
It costs extra.
yeah, it costs extra, and I'm a
I got
hard
$1.
no,
I got $1 amount.
no, and I'm a hard guy to
See Ray
keep
being a
too.
gigolo.
No, I'm a hard guy to keep. But then, in any case, my point is that I don't live here, and it goes both ways. In that, when somebody does call, I am probably one of the most responsive and accommodating people to where, hey, I say, you see something, call me. Just call me because I don't live there. I want to know about it. I'm not going to be mad. And with the way that I've structured my business, that kind of a call does not generate an additional charge unless it's something like a ruptured irrigation line or something of that
Something's
nature.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Something's fucked up. But then if it's an agronomic or turf grass type issue, just pick up the phone. give me a call, and there will be a a solution to the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like what I've done, and that is why I can command the prices that I do.
Well, let me ask you this: is you've done this so long. If you're talking to guys that are a year in, 5 years in, whatever, what if you could anticipate those top 3 or 4 things, right? To tell them like, hey, you're going to get a lot of calls about this, this, and this. Just stay on top of it. Coach your texts. Look for it.
Mhm.
What are those things that you hear most commonly in your business? Complaints or concerns, whatever those might
You mean
be.
what kind of complaint?
Yeah. Like what related to what within the lawn? property?
You know what? I think I've talked to what is it? Oh, I don't know, Colin a couple weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
NRS is huge back there.
NRS,
And,
necrotic,
Green spot.
Necrotic
necrotic
ring spot.
ring
In
spot.
fact, I sold a couple of my high-end customers I said, you know what? We're going to get it on a pH management system first.
There you go.
Get on pH, right?
Ray just got hard.
Yeah.
Sleeves are getting tighter.
Yeah.
But a lot, but outside that, I mean, you have our insect issues back there, but man, it's my biggest pet peeve is new construction, shitty craftsmanship on, install.
Yeah.
I deal with that all the time, and it pisses me off. I mean, I had this customer, had it for a couple of years, in new landscape, and I'll tell you after the show the name of the company she went with because you'll laugh about it.
Mhm.
But she said, oh, they brought in 3 or 4, 5 inches of topsoil. I stick a soil probe in there. I'm like, rock. It's rock. Fill dirt. And if you saw her sidewalk, like there's big. It's not graded properly. There's a big gap, like it goes down to, like you got her sidewalk, and it dips and comes back up to her.
Oh,
it's just poor. And those are the customers. It just drives me crazy. Drives me nuts.
Zach, those are the kind of people for where you hear me say this all the time, where sometimes I tell people like that, their best answer is if you make arrangements for a bulldozer and a
Yeah.
dump truck. And the reason why is because, Ryan, agree or disagree, that is the only fix for a half-assed, fast install and construction job where you cannot spray that problem away. Am I right, Zach?
That's correct.
I think we need to do at some point, and maybe Zach can be the spokesperson on this video. We need to do a grass factor video on building a new house, and like that's your one shot, and we'll do the whole Eminem. You only get one shot. Mom spaghetti, all that bullshit. That'll be the theme song, the intro to. If you fuck this up, it's going to cost you twice as much to unfuck it.
Yes.
Yeah. So before you have to refuck the unfuck, let's just not fuck.
Yeah, let's just do it right the first time.
Thank you, Ray.
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Right, because
Do we have to limit that part?
here's the thing is that
Buy you a fleshlight.
the problem is that with a lot of people, I see them where they barely had the money to do it the right way the first time, and then when it comes time to fix it, they're even more strapped and hard pressed, and then I'm basically on the warpath because, okay, here you have a bad install. I can't spray your problem away, and this will become a progressively bigger mess as the years go on. You see, bad construction, in my experience, creates problems that compound year after year after year. It doesn't get better, right, Zach?
Nope, it never gets better.
Right.
Well, and I think that's the other thing too is like you were saying about just being fert and squirt, not being maintenance only. I think one of the biggest problems is like people think that you have the magic potion to look
And that the miracle.
Well,
The
and
miracle.
the problem is like it's like, well, I'll just call Zach and he'll come over and fix it. And it's like, listen, like this is months, years, whatever, whatever time horizon you want to be on, that this is like been fucked. I can't spray, spread, whatever, especially in one visit, right? I can mask these problems, or maybe I can make them better, like pH correction, right?
Mhm.
That's an investment, right?
Yes.
But there's some things that you're never going to get away from. Like, hey, I'm going to, you have localized dry spot because this is shitty soil. Part of it, or localized, or excuse me, necrotic ring spot, and part of this means that we're going to have hydrophobic soil here.
Yep.
I'm going to put you on a fungicide program, and I'll put you on a wetting agent program, but this is never ever going to go away. Like we're only going to manage this, and it's never going to go away. So
You know, so one of my friends told me something like, Ray, what you're describing for landscapes and lawns in this condition is they told me it's almost like you're the hospice nurse. It's gone. No, really.
imagine the green dog bedside manner at hospice. Well, Charlie, go over.
Go ahead and hit me with the morphine twice.
Ray would be like, all right, listen, we can do this the long way, or I can come in tomorrow and spray you with Diquat.
We'll just smoke this thing
It
off.
was Ray Kevorkian, and I'm here.
But you know what, Brian? That's not that far from the truth because hey,
He got a defense, his defense lawyer's right here. We promised before the show he paid him $1. We're good.
yeah, because what do you think?
Suck me in, Ray.
What do you think my conversation about you actually need a bulldozer to fix this? What do you think that means? Because either I nurse this along year over year, it never gets better, it requires constant nursing, or we gotta bite the bullet and fix the actual issue one time.
So the funny part is, I can totally. We need to be there when this happens, but I can totally see the day, Zach, when Ray finally moves to the mainland, moves to somewhere, Tennessee, Georgia, somewhere like that, and he's rolling around. He pulls up in his truck, and he's got his backpack with the motor on the back, and he's got a D5 Caterpillar in the back of the truck. He's like, I'll fix whatever you need. You need to spray some weeds out today, or you need me to fix some grading issues. I got you covered. Anywhere from a D5 down to a 4 gallon.
Just pick all that shit.
You need to rake the leaves up. I'll go ahead and push those off.
That's gonna be extra.
Yeah, that's going to be extra. So okay, and so let's talk about this pH thing with the Ray. That's the show title. Doctor Ray.
Yeah, don't forget
Ray
doctor.
Kevorkian. Ray is actually so this
Plus one.
this whole episode is going to inspire Ray to go back to medical school since Zach went to
What?
Dr. Death of the 21st century. So
Your wife or
pH thing. What is it that necrotic ring spot? Something deal with a little bit in Kentucky bluegrass in the Midwest. So I got a little bit of background on it, but what do you know about the pH thing? How that relates? And I know you'll probably want to talk about manganese too. But what do you got? What do you see out there in terms of problem areas, and how widespread is it?
It's generally in the shady areas and the poor soil conditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you get, when you pH over 7.5, where you're seeing a lot of it,
Okay.
and of course, poor agronomy, right? Because
Agronomy.
people in Utah are not afraid to dump the water, right? Even though we live in the desert, and that's another pet peeve of mine. It's like, you guys don't know how to water, right? You don't know how to water.
Well, and that's something, again, there's only so much you can do.
Yep.
You could have the best fungicide program in the world for that pathogen in particular, and if you don't manage water right,
It doesn't mean anything.
it doesn't mean anything. Yep.
Mhm.
You're just checking a box, spraying that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What,
I'm asking because I don't know. I've never had to deal with necrotic ring spot ever. Is this dealing with high pH, and then you're in a scenario where they've set their irrigation to come on schedule, 10 minutes a day,
Yeah,
whether
twice a
it's
day.
twice a day,
Yep.
and you're just exacerbating the problem.
so it's twofold, right? So it's a root-borne fungus. So like when you have to treat beforehand, right? So before you ever see symptoms develop, right? You talk about treating in the spring.
Sure.
A couple of fungicide apps, 14 to 28 days apart, depending on the AI you pick, and then you don't see this stuff flare up until summertime, until conditions get right.
Yeah.
So spray your stuff, cross your fingers and hope, right? And then when it starts to express itself, right? If you get there and pump that soil full of water, it's just gonna explode
Yeah.
and get worse.
Yep.
And then once it attacks the roots, all that soil becomes hydrophobic. So now you're dumping water on trying to think, oh shit, this looks like it's drying out, something's going wrong. It's already done. It's cooked. Nothing you can do at that
You're
point.
toast,
So-
right?
So the pH management thing, like you said, above 7.5, the role of manganese, Ray. Talk
Okay.
about why that's important, especially with root-borne pathogens in cool season.
Okay. What has been proven via various studies is that manganese, adequate tissue manganese in these grasses has a suppressive effect on your various soil-borne and root-borne diseases, including necrotic ring spot, summer
Summer
patch,
Take all.
take all, and even large patch. And I'm all too familiar with large patch and take all. I'm super familiar with it. And here's the other role of pH and manganese. Manganese is a micronutrient.
Mhm.
It is considered a transition element on the periodic table. And so when your soil pH is literally over 6.5, what happens is usually whatever manganese you have in the soil transforms into what they call an oxide or a hydroxide. So manganese oxide or manganese hydroxide, which is of limited to no availability to the grass. And so if you have high pH soil, you are then creating conditions to where your grass is struggling to uptake iron and manganese because, and oh, by the way, the big mistake made in turf grass that I frequently see, and please, and everybody needs to be careful about this, is overloading the turf grass with iron. And the reason why I'm cautious of that is because when somebody applies high rates of iron without accompanying manganese, zinc, and copper, the iron literally displaces the other micronutrients within the grass.
So, all right. So, in this case, right, with high pH soil, Zach, what's been your program thus far to try to attack this, and what's been
You know, it's changed a lot of this year with getting with you guys. You know, I never did any pH management.
Oh, really?
No, not at all. And
Okay.
you know, the suppliers just said throw fungicide at it and over what they say, overseed it thrive. You know what I mean?
Damn.
It can work. You know,
No, that's like another,
it's just masking a problem.
Exactly.
Masking.
yeah, masking a problem because what, and I need to ask you, so what has your pH management approach have been to try to address this?
The one I've sold, the couple I've sold, I said we did a citric acid pound per thousand
Okay.
and 5 pounds, the sulfur.
Okay.
And I did that on these two in September. I said let's start it back up in about May or June next year.
Yep.
Get the soils up, soil temperatures right. And I said, like one of them, they're both actually next door neighbors. One's like, give a shit what it costs that, I want to do it. The other one's like, well, how long do I got to do it? I'm like, you have a crystal ball. I don't.
Yeah.
So what's your parent material? Yeah, forever.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's like unless they get
the bulldozer.
the bulldozer or get a dosatron, right, and start acidifying the water.
Yep.
Oh, and that's what I was gonna say. At that point too. You're also capped by your water quality, right?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Growing.
8.5 water. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
True.
secondary, right? So it's
Well, okay, because what I also know about soil pH is that everything I've read has stated that your soil pH closely follows the water pH, your irrigation water pH.
Yeah.
It follows. So if you're pumping out 7.5 or 8 water as your irrigation water on the lawn, your soil pH will basically mirror that water, but then sometimes the least painful and strenuous way to deal with that is what happens when you correct that water pH down to pH 6.
Mhm.
What happens? I mean, there's various products, and I'm familiar with, for example, for injection into an irrigation system, something called urea sulfate.
Yeah.
Okay, and what urea sulfate is that is urea that has been reacted with sulfuric acid under very specific conditions. It's a little less volatile and hazardous to deal with. For example, it doesn't heat up when it's in contact with water.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well-
it's a little less explosive, you know?
Well, and the other thing too is if you can't do that, if you don't have the dosatron and you're not going to go down that route, another option there, in my mind, would be you've got, three pillars of this. You've got the sulfur thing, right?
Mhm.
Citric acid and sulfur. I'm going to lump those together.
Mhm.
Then you've got your micronutrient management, right?
Mhm.
We'll
Yes.
talk about that in a second. And
Mhm.
then you're using like a Fixor or Eximo or something like that.
Yeah.
Trying to flush out
bicarbonates.
what, because
Right.
guarantee you coming in that water too, there's probably going to be some deposits.
In the spring, holler at me because I've got that Hydro Plus. That is like
yeah.
a upgraded one,
Mhm.
and I'm just try it. Let me know what you see.
Let me,
Curious.
Yeah.
for sure. Let me ask you this. This one you can chime in on, Ray.
Yes.
So these two customers did sulfur, citric acid, right? Water shut off now, right? Water shut off.
Mm-hmm.
How much over the winter with, snow, rain in Utah, will that rainwater, snow water help to keep decreasing the pH? Does that make sense?
It actually will help to a certain degree because
Right?
when somebody is in a temperate climate with seasoned snow, frost, ice, whatever over the winter, I often suggest that they can apply one final application of sulfur in the fall
Mhm.
and let that snow and that water in the winter incorporate that sulfur down into the soil over winter. I mean, that has been the standard safe way to apply sulfur, especially to a non-irrigated cool season lawn.
Sure.
You're safest to do it in the fall before snow, right, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I wouldn't tell somebody, for example, to go out with sulfur on a non-irrigated lawn, for example, in the summer. I'd say no, because I've literally seen a bad sulfur application burn up grass. I've seen it torch grass.
Now, all right. Now I've got a wild idea that I'm going to throw out there to get rid of the chronic ring spot. We're about to climb on the boat and grab the bag of pills, boys.
Let me tell you,
So-
I've been there, done that. So it better be good.
This is going to be a great fishing story.
Yes.
Just wait. All right.
You want to try
Yeah,
the
I'll try the
black label?
Here we go. We're going to go. Did you see
This is the 4-grain small batch. The mash bill is corn, malted wheat, malted barley, and honey malted barley.
great ad read, by the way. You didn't. J Pink couldn't
Right
have
into it, right into it.
ad. But anyway, by the way, did you say that? But I got to take a time out on the side here. Did you call that one? Is that really called Fuzzy Hole?
No, rabbit hole.
Oh, okay. Fuzzy Hole. That was the strip club.
That was the strip club in Johnson
Yeah,
City.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he said it too. So
Yeah.
Fuzzy Hole also is fun.
I did call it fuzzy hole because rabbit hole.
Yeah,
that's
that's
fuzzy.
all.
They're fluffy. They're
Yeah,
fluffy hole.
fluffy holes. So something interesting I've seen it's been going on, I think 2, maybe 3 years now, is there's a guy, his name's Dr. Brian Hopkins. I don't know if you know him. He's the turf extension specialist down there at BYU in Provo.
Uh-huh.
So he's got a bunch of Bermuda plots out at the research farm there that are doing very, very, very well. So I'm wondering if you can convince somebody to take the plunge on one of these cold tolerant Bermudas, because the chronic ring spot goes away.
Actually, I was talking to
Who knows
Brent.
what other issues you get into?
Right. Well, I mean, part of my journey next year, I bought a new older home. I'm gonna renovate it, right? And I was talking to Brandon about this, about trying to Bermuda, right? The issue I'm gonna have is on the west side of my house. It's rather shady. I
Yeah.
don't know it's gonna do so well,
Well,
there,
but maybe it's just an area to, FAFO, just find out if
oh,
how
for
much
sure.
shade is too much,
Yep.
and because we've got people like Gibby from the Discord. He's got Tahoma. Now, this is South Carolina, a little bit further south from
right.
latitude, but he's got it on the north side of his house, like it's real shaded.
It's
Mhm.
shaded.
And it's
Wow.
It,
fine.
isn't his lawn like I've seen pictures of his property, and he has an area that's like pretty well shaded over by trees, and that is where I know Gibby and I were talking over time, and I was saying, hey, you are one for doing one of these new cold tolerant and more shade tolerant Bermudas. And Gibby literally arrived on Toma 31. Although for me, I will confess that I am a Tiff Grand fanboy.
He's getting a tattoo this weekend, ladies.
No, I'm gonna.
He's gonna get the Tiff Grand pain stain
But
right on his butt.
the reason why
That's not coming off with the sprayer either.
Yeah.
He's got to get right. That's the second year of residency when he starts to do plastic surgery and tattoo.
We'll take care of it.
But seriously, Bermuda, that is winter hardy, that would probably take care of some of your necrotic ring spot. And given your climate, where it turns truly cool, cold, and then I want to say almost dry over the winter, other than snow.
Yeah.
I consider that almost ideal conditions for a winter hardy Bermuda.
Yeah, and I think you can do things like put out a wetting age, things like that. You worry a little bit about desiccation for winter kill, right?
Sure.
But that's a simple app of a wetting agent.
Sure.
Maybe if you're open ground for a long, long time in the wintertime, you go out and make a second app or something like that. But hey, now your snow guys we haven't even talked about the snow guys. We'll talk about them in a minute. But
Yeah.
so I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I wouldn't mind trying it at all. I mean, Utah has a general ban on Bermuda other than if you're in southern Utah.
It's considered a noxious
Noxious
invasive.
weed.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say you can't. No, Utah's sod laws are actually pretty stringent because like you can't bring certain sod in there. So like I know they grow it over at Graff's Turf Farms out there by Denver.
Right,
It's probably
right.
the closest, but I don't know that you can get sod in from out of state. There's a lot of sod that you can't get in.
Holy
Yeah, it's real. So they really consider it noxious weed.
Yeah, do in Utah.
Yeah, it's declared noxious,
Yeah.
and apparently all.
Not a fan of that.
Matt's gonna go.
lame,
Matt's gonna
in
go
my
lobby
opinion.
at the state
I
house.
love it.
Well, look at it this
Another
way.
Utah work.
Hey, because
Well, we're talking about a state that's undergoing a pretty significant water issue right now.
yes,
Well, that's the reason that they're studying it. That's the whole reason is not because hey, it's cool and
The
John
BYU.
Smith loves it.
Uh-huh.
They're looking at it because of the water conservation.
Exactly.
because the other feature about a lot of your Bermuda varieties, and my experience with Bermuda, is that it can perform very well under limited water amounts. And you know when I say limited water amounts, what does 60 to 70% of ET per week mean to you, Ryan?
It's even lower than that. They're doing studies out there. California at even like 30%.
I know Oak State has got some craziness going on right now too with
Yeah,
their
food
new
house.
research varieties.
Yeah. So I think I don't know from a water standpoint. Hey, if there's anybody in the state of Utah that can blend law, reason, sanity, and turf all together, Zach, we've got faith in you.
Yes.
You just put it in, and then if they try to come after you, you
Right.
just say, "Hey, come get me, bitch."
Exactly.
I'm gonna pay my own fees.
Some ass.
I mean,
And not only that, you know what? I will advocate for it because to me, there is nothing that defines insanity more to me than attempting to keep a cool season grass in a state that gets that hot and dry in the summer. That makes no damn sense because
Well, it's from us.
it's agronomically crazy because like we have our friend in a desert state, right?
Aldo.
Does he grow cool season grass in the summer?
He wishes,
no.
he wishes he could.
No, he knows
but-
better.
So here's my question. Two things. One, let's talk about your weather real quick. When does it start to heat up? Like, when are you consistently, say, like 80 degrees?
Mid-May, going into the first part of June.
Okay. And how long, and like, say, like mid-October, when are you cooling down and starting to get frost?
Well, yeah, you get your first frost.
Brandon, chime in here. I'd say around Halloween.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's, that is a good season. Yeah, that's a really good. So,
Mhm. Sometime sooner, right? I mean, we're
yeah.
Yeah, I'll give or take.
So then,
well,
if-
common grows in my bluegrass.
so then,
Hey, you know what? If
Lots
common, if common can
watch your
grow,
fucking mouth.
yeah, common can grow as a weed volunteer.
Mhm.
What that tells me automatically is if common can grow volunteer as a weed, and that means that the chances of a improved hybrid surviving, thriving, and performing well as a turf are rather high, don't you think, Ryan?
I would think so.
Especially cool season varieties like that you guys have mentioned.
Well, so then what about this? Here's my next question. Let's say that this works at the Zach pad, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm gonna call the new house. Zach pad. Just sounds cool.
And
then-
my name on the Discord.
So let's say that this goes out in the customer's lawn. Do you think there's more or less pushback of, hey, this shit looks banging all summer long, and now Mrs. Jones is saying, my grass is brown at Halloween? Are you more apt and equipped to deal with those kind of complaints and managing that versus all summer long of fighting the irrigation and the potential insects and the fact that you're only there 5-6
I
times?
know
Like,
what I rather have, right? But
well, how do you think it plays though with like your customers? Like, how,
I think the ones that I mentioned earlier that you communicate to and listen, I
yeah,
think they'd be fine with it, right? But
that's interesting.
you get a lot of these people that, oh, my lawn's not green enough in the spring. My neighbor's is greener than mine.
And that there is that cultural aspect. I'll say like Knoxville, the way our climate shifted is Bermuda performs exceptionally well.
Right.
Exceptionally well. Whether if you just left a yard alone for 3 seasons, it's going to be a common Bermuda lawn, whether you want it to be or not. That's just how it's going to turn into.
Mm.
And as you try to talk to people about this, 1 out of 10 are going to be receptive because I've got fescue and I've always had fescue. Why would I do this now, right? And it takes a long time of coaxing, and typically you have to have a display yard in the neighborhood that you can show, let them see it, let them experience it. And they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, all right, now I'll do that."
Yeah,
right?
that's-
And,
it's a cultural aspect.
It's a
It
cultural
really
aspect.
is.
However, let's just throw one more little factor in this is that what I know about Bermuda is that unless something extremely catastrophic happens to Bermuda, you will not need to overseed it to repair it.
No.
Well, and so you're driving. I think you can drive costs down. Number one. Number
Oh, yeah.
Number
yeah.
two, well, and then water costs. And here's the other point I was going to make is like, you get into a situation like this summer where there's water bans around the state and stuff
Mhm,
like that.
right.
Guess whose lawns are going to look better than anybody
Yeah.
else's?
Yeah.
So I get the spring thing. I get that whole like,
Yeah.
oh, we gotta dominate the spring, man.
My neighbor can turn on spring too.
Then you know how
That's
it's
when you go out there with the paint, Zach.
Oh, I know, for
You
sure,
make it
right?
look like fucking Pasadena.
and you know what? I can counter that by arguing. Okay, then look at this lawn in July and August, and we've had a water ban. It's been hot as balls.
Yep.
Now look who looks decent and passable, and who's patchy, sick, almost dead, and
Necrotic infested.
definitely needs a fall or spring overseed,
Mhm.
and they're going to have to wash, rinse, repeat,
Yep.
do that year over year over year. Because I know for me, I would totally lose my shit if I had to overseed an area every single year. I'd lose my mind.
Look, and from a PR and regulatory standpoint, I think that you would clearly be the first person doing that, and you get to be the person that says, "I'm taking individual responsibility to be the progressive person in this instance to
Yeah.
try and make a change for the betterment of the industry."
Of course.
And we're going to do this by trialing out 10 yards, 15 yards. I'd say even in that instance, you invite the state in to come watch
Right.
and see, let them log data on how water management improves, and
Mhm.
you become the trendsetter and the leader of your local industry, and hopefully that expands out from there
Right.
to people that are facing similar issues, not just in Utah but in surrounding
Of
states.
course,
as well.
of course, of course.
Well, I think that just I think the water use thing alone would be enough
Yeah.
to drive people that don't understand, don't get it, don't want to get it. Wait, okay, like forget about all the green grass, all that bullshit. Here's the water use: traditional lawn in Utah versus the Zach way of doing it.
And I'm being selfish here, but again, that shows the ability of the industry to evolve and adapt, right?
Mhm.
And it's going to generate positive press.
Right.
And if there's anything the industry needs right now is positive press. And so in my opinion, it's a win all ways around.
So bottom line is we're holding you to this. Within 2
Yeah.
years, we need to do a return on bird and return,
Okay.
featuring Zach in the
My
Yukon.
my hybrid Bermuda lawn.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're a well-maintained, green, manicured hybrid Bermuda lawn.
You
That-
come help me mow it, Ray.
You inviting, man? You inviting?
I am. Yeah.
I'll
Hey,
show. I'll show.
I just live up the
Ray
road where you
will.
drop, you
I
can drop
will.
your taxes off on the way.
Yeah, I'll show up with the GM
Just
1000.
up the road.
I'll show up with the GM 1000 and
I also do tax work.
rotary scissors and
That's
You
fine.
know-
I got the scissors. I got a reel. You're good. You're
Yeah.
good. Just show up. Just show up.
I'm telling you, man. I think it's the game changer.
Willing to try it. If you get
I
some in there.
didn't put it all together until
I guess my thing is what variety be? Is it Tahoma
or whatever.
or or one of the
probably Tahoma or Iron Cutter. I'd say
Iron Cutter? What about the Northbridge or
Northbridge is
Attitude?
fine. Northbridge is fine. I think those are going to produce a little bit more thatch and things like that. You have to
So you think
I
maybe the Tahoma?
Tahoma or Iron Cutter. I think there's. I'll
Oak State has whatever this new research one they've got coming up that they're keeping under lock and key is supposed to be like
they're all-
the super game changer.
That's
This is Tahoma 31 on steroids,
that's
right?
the next. It's the next one. It's the
They-
next
they
one.
see that-
So-
Yeah.
They see that all about the the new varieties, but then over the years I've noticed that certain varieties have performed solidly year over year, so but then I have another little wrinkle to add to this is that should you go to a quote unquote improved hybrid cold tolerant Bermuda, I don't consider that turf grass invasive anymore. And the reason why I don't consider it invasive anymore is lack of viable
It's sterile.
seeds.
It's sterile.
It's totally sterile.
True.
Hybrid.
True.
Mhm.
It's totally
It's
sterile.
We're
Mhm.
eat out.
Yeah, because like
Man, we're getting all the legalities.
because I got to think about that kind of stuff too, because where I'm at, I have massive issues with invasive species.
Mhm. Right.
I have massive issues with that. And the way that the species becomes invasive is when that weed produces viable seeds. And here's where I'm going to kind of inject something in that a lot of people have told me cannot happen, but is happening, is the various varieties of zoysia that are in my state, they produce viable seed. They're not supposed to. They're supposed to be some kind of a selected and improved variety like Empire or El Toro. Those, they produce viable seed that gets everywhere and is contaminating places that they shouldn't be.
Pray with the truth.
Yep.
Yeah, and because I even confronted or asked my sod grower, I asked him, can this grass produce viable seed? And he said, truthfully, yes, can happen, because
You're not recording right now, are you?
you see, it is
Are you a cop?
okay. Because let me explain to you what something like Tahoma is. Something like Tahoma, for example, is a hybrid, a true hybrid. It is a cross between two varieties of Bermuda, and like the two varieties that I know that are commonly crossed are, I'm going to get Latin on everybody, Synodon dactylon,
Mhm.
and the favorite cross material is a Bermuda from Africa called Synodon transvalensis.
Mhm.
That comes from South Africa. And so you cross the two, and that makes non-viable seeds. You know, when you cross because you're crossing two distinct species, not Synodon dactylon onto itself. You're producing a true hybrid, and so that to me decreases the potential for that Tahoma to become invasive, for example.
And it does produce seed heads. That's the other thing too.
But then
You
they're
can't-
not-
Yeah, exactly. They're not
but
viable. So that's the one
They're
thing I
not
just
fertile,
wanted-
whatever, vital.
They're
Right,
fertile.
yeah.
No,
So
they're
people
fertile.
don't freak out and go, I've seen Tahoma, I've seen that. You know, all the improved common CONFEN folks, those folks, yeah, we got to nip that in the butt. I'm going to reach out to my contacts
Okay.
that deal nationally with this stuff and see if one of them's willing to donate a pallet to the Zach Pad.
You know, we can
Educational
little here,
purposes.
little here. Yeah.
Research purposes, for sure. You know,
I guess
Without
my,
a doubt, yeah.
I guess the question, as I haven't dealt any Bermuda besides common, right?
sure.
Because it's a weed, noxious weed in Utah. How well, I guess, the aesthetics, how they like, is common and like iron cutter get a blend well, or are they going to always noticeably be different?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
They would noticeably be different. And in that event, you want to do the best prep work possible to have as clean of a start, just because it is going to be obvious that you have two different.
Of course. Well,
yeah.
And I also can kind of take this another direction and say that your hybrids, they are favored by a certain type of agronomic management.
Yeah.
For
Hybrids,
sure, for sure.
because for me, I noticed that common Bermuda does not appreciate a low height of cut. It also doesn't appreciate a lower nitrogen program either. It doesn't do well with that. And finally, as a last resort, I know there are certain herbicide combinations that disadvantage common Bermuda more than an improved low cut hybrid.
Like, are you talking like Hylex and those kind of?
Well, and vice versa. Like for instance, hybrid Bermudas typically do not play well with like quinflorac, for instance.
Gotcha.
And common will tolerate it to no end.
Yeah.
So you see some funniness, but for the most part, if you're making the switch to Bermuda, you can throw quinflorac out of the arsenal anymore.
Gotcha.
You will not need it.
You won't,
Gotcha.
you won't need it.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
You'll have the versatility of sulfonylureas at this point, and
Right.
that will cover a lot of your
Well,
bases.
that's the other benefit too, right? Is that you can keep this clean of all your cool season weeds.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Easy,
So
easy.
you're gonna have a pretty. I mean, so here's my question out there.
Once you get it clean, it is incredibly easy to keep
It's
it clean
simple.
in Bermuda.
So that's my question is for Zach. Let's just say that he does. Let's say his yard did have common Bermuda. Would the thought process be, hey, we're gonna let this stuff emerge in May, June, get this stuff out of here,
Okay.
and then get
that-
to a sod point, get ready. For
Yeah,
crop.
that's going to be my.
How would you? What would you? What would your?
What my program would be is in the season the season before you're planning to renovate, here's what you're going to do. In that season, that summer, you're going to concentrate on growing out that common wild Bermuda. And then you are going to hit that common Bermuda 2 to 3 times with something like a combination of triclopyr, glyphosate, tenacity,
Yeah.
fusilade,
Got them all.
and you're going to
Smoking.
chill it. And then what you're going to do is throw down some cheap 111 fertilizer and make whatever's in the ground emerge, and then you're going to spray it again and kill it.
So
Yep, gotcha.
in lieu of that 4 product combo, could you just go with like Fusillade and Glide?
No,
No.
no, because Fusillade,
Yeah.
Fusillade and glyphosate.
Sorry, Ray could work in.
You must die.
When it comes out like fucking Sub-Zero and Mortal Kombat.
Ray Kevorkian's coming back out.
The reason why,
Turn your 5G on.
You got a vein?
the reason why is because
Just go in your butt. Hit her butt.
Bermuda survives by a deep underground rhizome, right? And up until about 1980, we had a very good tool for controlling Bermuda rhizomes in the soil.
Methyl bromide.
Yes, sir.
Bromoting it.
1 pound per 100 square foot. Go.
Why is there a man with a respirator and a full chem suit on there? Or just doing a little renovation? It's a big deal.
And here's the funny thing, Ryan,
Go back inside. Now.
is that
No.
I knew guys that worked in the 1970s and the 1980s, and that's literally what they did to lawn areas.
Jesus.
They stretched over a plastic sheet.
Polarization.
No,
Or after that.
no, they were breaking cans of methyl bromide into the plastic. I knew guys that did that. But
Throw it under there and hit it with a shovel.
yeah, well, what they did was they
Some
would.
people detonate claymores. Other people use methyl bromide.
What they would do is they'd have a piece of plywood with
It's both.
a nail sticking up,
Another.
and they would jam the can down on that nail, because in the old days, methyl bromide used to be sold in steel cans that look similar to
Like
like
sternos.
like a refrigerant can, like a can of Freon.
I've seen them like little sterno cans.
Yeah. But then the thing is that you can't do that anymore. So,
Because it's highly illegal.
yeah, your process now is year 1, kill and leave no prisoners, make sure it's gone. And then the following spring is when you establish your desirable variety.
Mhm.
I mean, you see, the problem with actually renovating or doing any kind of, remedial work is that I have a saying in, dealing with turf grass and landscapes, in
Mhm.
that the only things that happen fast are the half done or the bad.
Of course.
Okay, that's a saying that I live by. And so, because I've also seen the results of what happens when somebody doesn't actually truly kill the previous turf grass. And I then get the question, why does that area over there look funny? Why does it look like there's a different grass? And my only answer to that is
Because there is.
because there is something different there, because the stuff that was supposed to be killed off during your renovation didn't die. And the answer that I get is, but the guy doing this, he did come by one time and spray glyphosate on this one time. And I said, just glyphosate? Just one time? Here's your sign.
Well, and that's somebody that doesn't know. We were talking about that last night about, there's so many people now that are trying to get into this professionally that just don't know what they're doing. So that was going to be that's a good segue into. So talk to me about the business now. You've been in it now for 21 plus years.
Yeah,
21,
yeah.
As an owner, 21
Mhm.
years, more than that. How has it evolved? And here's my question is, how's it evolved? Where's it at now? And where is it going for you?
For me, I probably am still doing this because, obviously I have it's in my blood, right? I think right now we're probably 300-400 customers.
Mhm.
I'd like it to see 800 to 1,000, but that is if those are the ones you can, keep on a pH management program. Runs that really give a shit, right?
Sure.
Not a first where you never see them, right? And they bitch at you everything. I don't want that. I want quality customers, right?
You
I
know,
really do.
Zach, I would probably be an advocate for. I don't want 800 to 1,000 people that don't want to actually fix or do what needs to be done
Right.
because you know what? At the end of the day, they will not be happy. And what will happen in that case is what usually happens in this industry is they will then go to somebody that can keep them unhappy
For cheaper price.
for a cheaper price. I mean,
Doctor shop.
no, you took
Yeah.
you took the words right out of my mouth.
And I guess I shouldn't have put numbers on it, right? I mean, keep some of my guys busy because our winners are what honestly generates revenue. It's the snow removal, right?
So it's almost like the reverse of what we see here, right?
Yeah.
Trying to keep guys busy in the wintertime. He's eating it up. So I don't know. I guess on that side of like ideal customer and everything like that, what have you found? Like you know who those people are, right? You know what they're all about, everything. How do you find them?
It's hard. 20 years, it's hard, right? You just can't go. It's just there's no recipe to find them, right? There's no recipe. I mean, obviously the neighborhoods, you see
Mm-hmm.
market where the money, right? But it's really hard. I mean, obviously my best advertisements word of mouth. Everybody knows that. If
Yep.
you've been in the industry, you know that. Everybody knows that, right? It's
Yes.
just hard. It's there's no recipe to go find those. I guess my thing is be true to yourself. They will come to you. That's my motto.
Zach, I like that because that's basically how I've always done it. And I've had conversations with with that Cardwell Lawns last night where I told him, listen, I have people that I work for that they literally pay me over $1,000 a month to maintain their lawn.
Yeah.
And man, he was looking at me stunned. And I told him, listen, it's a little bit different from where I don't want to deal with 100, 200, 300 customers that they can easily drop me for somebody less expensive. In fact,
Dollar cheaper.
yeah,
Dollar cheaper.
because literally these same people that are paying me that much, they told me, Ray, you're not allowed to retire. You're not allowed to move out of state.
Well, the funny part though is that Ray's really gotten impersonal in his old age because all the people that aren't a good fit now he just doesn't even talk to them. He leaves them a business card that says, "I looked at your lawn. We're not a good fit. Get fucked."
medical practice. Dr. Come visit me.
Come visit me for your one and one only. Talk about one and done. It's a one-time fee because that's the only time you're going to see me.
That's the only time you're going to see me because you know what?
Fix all ailments.
Because for me, it's like
All hospice.
the first thing I tell people is, Zach, okay, Ryan said something about bedside manner. First thing I literally tell people is, I ain't here to make you happy. Okay? I tell people that. I ain't here to make you happy.
I just want Ray to wear a body camera like for a week. We get that all up.
Can we FOIA body cam footage of Ray just interacting with people?
It's just that would probably be like a full like
We could probably submit it to police activity or something.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, and that's my motto, like in the legal field. Right? I look back at night when I have clients, right? Legal defendants, and they bitch. I'm like, I look back, I'm like, I didn't get you in this problem. I'm just trying to get you out, right?
Yeah.
And it's great about it, right?
What a great mindset.
Right?
Seriously,
It's like, I didn't do this, It's like,
Yeah, I didn't do this, and I've had to tell people, I'm sorry you were bullshitted by
Mhm.
your installer. I'm very sorry that this guy bullshitted you because now you've got a problem, and now you don't have the money to bulldoze this mess and do it right the second time. So now we're stuck together, and I'm essentially providing hospice care to this lawn and landscape, and this is how it is. So, so,
That
We did-
tripped me out.
We just entered the fourth dimension.
so the thing is,
The boat pills are kicking in now.
Pills are good.
you know, just like you, I gotta tell people, hey, I didn't create this. You know, I didn't create this, and I'm doing my best to, you know, help you live with what you have. Although you may come to the point where maybe you don't want to live with what you have, and then hey, then we can talk about doing it the second time, but this time not doing it fast and not doing it wrong.
The rate.
Well, that's I mean, yeah. We do that on the front end of stuff, and that's
No, and that's how it should be.
it's tough. It's tough conversations though. A lot of times people just don't understand the
Mm,
different. You know, they see the difference on the after side, right? But
Well, a lot of it do.
oh yeah,
On the when they get estimates and bids and like it's cheaper, done. And they don't ask the questions like, hey, why are you half the price of that?
Well-
They don't ask those kind of questions. They don't know them. Or they,
well, actually, the funny thing is that
Let's.
I get asked, for example, I, as a one-person operation, I cost way more than other people, and
My soul is expensive. Let's be honest.
no, my what I tell people is, it is because I'm not here to put band-aids on problems. I'm not here to do more of what didn't work the first time. You know, that's just it. Because and oh, by the way, if you were happy with what was happening previously, why are you even talking to me?
yeah, why are we here?
Yeah, why are we here?
and those are the people that just aren't for you. I mean, the people that genuinely want to get it right,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not about just bending them over the barrel and trying to make
It's not.
cost.
No, it's not.
You match those expectations to the budget and say, hey, listen, you expect this, it's going to cost X, or you have X to spend. Here's as much as I can give you for X,
Mhm.
and that's it.
Exactly.
When you're operating within the confines of a budget, right? Like, and I mean like a strict budget. And I'm saying like if you got a $50 lawn app and you're looking at your arsenal to solve problems that fit within that $50 lawn app, you're severely handicapped. in what
Mhm.
you can
Oh, yeah.
do. And then it becomes you start having to guess because you don't you know the appropriate tool that will work,
Mhm.
right? It doesn't fit the budget, so now you've got to figure out and cross your fingers that maybe if I just do a little bit of enough of this, that maybe I can
It's true. It's
achieve
so,
the same.
so
Well,
damn true.
And,
So-
and that guesswork just becomes it's a losing battle.
No, that's why I hate the guesswork. I'm tired of it, right?
Yeah.
No, do it right, and or we'll figure it out together, or I'm not the mix.
Well, and
We're
I
not a
think,
good mix, right? We're not.
the thing that we've tried to go to, and I've told people that it's been working, has been an outcome based approach. Meaning,
Mhm.
hey, you tell me what you want it to look like, and I was having this conversation with Cardwell the other day too, with Matt, and said, if it's bronze, silver, gold, you call it whatever you want to call it, but basically, hey, you're going to give me a budget that I can solve all your problems within a certain. Hey, the lawn's going to look really good like this. It's going to be one of the best on the street like this. It's going to be the best in the town with
Right.
this, right? And I've got a budget to work within, and I've got plenty of fluff factor in there too. So I'm not saying that I'm going to spend all that money necessarily. I might even give some of it back to you, right, when it's all said and done. But bottom line is this: is that you are going to get whatever we need to do within the confines of this, right, to make it happen, instead of just being bound by a strict budget where it's like, well, I know I'm going to do this, and it's probably not going to be the best thing, but I got to do something.
Yeah.
I got to make this app. Like,
Well, and I just think for the True Green days, it was Kemlon started this, right? And it was just
Oh yeah.
how it's done. It's still drilled in so many
Actually,
people's minds.
yeah, I do X number of apps for
Yeah.
X price,
and
Yeah.
and come up with X result.
And
That-
Zach, I got to tell you that I've heard about and I've kind of studied what Kemlon was like in the 1970s and the 1960s. And that totally fascinated me.
Right?
And do you know why that totally fascinated me? I consider what I do, or actually how I do things day to day, almost a throwback to the Kemlon of the 1960s and the 1970s.
Hemlon.
And the reason why is because their applications, because how they applied materials and products. You know, I'm a throwback to the 1960s lawn applicator because they probably used tridents. They did. They probably used.
You know, one of my suppliers is, I mean, he's basically he's part-time retirement. He was actually one of those 70s Hemlon applicators. It's just nice. It's just, it's just nice to shoot the shit with him, right? How it used to be.
Well, it just sounds like doing things the right way versus mass production
Mass production.
and just trying to get all.
You know, like I was telling you last night, Ryan. Not even all suppliers back there. They're pushing a pound of end, right? Overkill.
Makes things look good.
Shit for. Okay, yeah, that wasn't part of this conversation last night.
No, but okay. You know,
Overkill. That was
you know
Tuesday.
this
I'll
like
bring a whole kilo
goes
to the
back
party.
to like, for example, I also have to tell people, for example, I don't sell number of applications, number of services. I don't sell that because, by the way, that clown that shows up here on exactly the same day, same time, every week, he's been doing that, and what results does that guy have to show for it? None. Okay, because he's doing the same things that everybody else does, and he's highly like regimented about it. And we're not doing that anymore because it's not working. Okay, it's not working. And for me personally, I would like to see the entire lawn care industry move towards a outcome and appearance based, paradigm to where
That ain't gonna happen. We're
but,
gonna have some that will, but
but,
Yeah.
but then the reason why I say this is because in order to provide a top quality service when you're in a region with particularly difficult problems like NRS.
Right?
Okay, I don't think NRS management fits into, for example, a traditional service-based program because, for example, Ryan said something about 2 fungicide applications, 14
Yeah.
20 days apart.
Yeah.
And not only that, I know the fungicides used for NRS that work are not cheap because some of those fungicides are my favorites. Okay, they're my absolute favorites. I mean, Ryan is laughing right
special pills.
Ryan is laughing right
Big
now
dog.
because
Huge.
he knows exactly what those are. Because, by the way, those fungicides are the same fungicides that I use for Takol and Large Patch. They're the same things.
Right? We shan't be fucking around.
Yeah.
That's why we use the expensive stuff.
All right, I want to have a difficult conversation. It's kind of near and dear to me because I grew up with a cousin who's my age who is blind, has been blind since birth, and for those that are watching and listening that don't know, you have vision issues. Talk to us about that and what that's been like dealing with through your career.
Okay, so let me talk to you about how I still have light perception. Okay, so I'm not,
Like dark, you're not in the dark.
I'm not. But so
That's a state of mind, right?
Yeah.
You know what?
No, so,
I sometimes feel like a mushroom myself. Okay? I sometimes feel like that Zach is laughing because he knows exactly what I'm talking about.
um, so the eye condition I have is called RP, retinitis pigmentosa. It has to do with the retinas. They don't reproduce the cells, right?
Yeah.
The rods and cods and cones and rods. So I was born with it, but when I was young too, my mom, she's like, God, something's wrong. You're always, you gravitate to light, right? You gravitate to light because part of the condition is you lose night vision right away. You can't see things in the dark, right? Right?
Oh,
Because of the
wow.
rods, right?
Mhm.
And it went, and wherever we moved, she had a specialist for it, But the thing I've been told for 35 years, one day there will be something to help you, right? I'm still waiting, right? So, but people, this is the funniest, the weirdest thing is when people think, oh my God, he's blind. He's got a disease. He's weird. He's retarded. Hey, but but career wise, I mean, just overall, it's a battle. It's a step, right?
Yep.
I'm not going to deny it, but I'm also not going to be a victim of it too. And it's even, I don't know. It's just I get on. Then I get my soapbox when people say this. Just keep me back, right? Can't do this when that's just why I roll my eyes. I roll my. Not saying anything. Right? Like I've done it, I'm not arrogant. Not really. Generally, I can't. I don't want to be arrogant. But like I've done it. And when people have the little setback in their life, like, I said,
Yeah.
that probably didn't answer it all.
No, it
No,
did. And
So-
I respect the hell out of that. That
Mhm.
exactly, you do get to dole out fuck yous in that scenario.
Yeah.
When it
And
talks
it's
about
like
hardships they face.
Well, yeah, it's just like it's kind of like someone's lawn, right? I didn't do this to your damn lawn, right? And
Yeah.
it's like to help you. It's like it's just the same thing as my clients. I didn't get you in this problem, right? I may be blind, but I still get out of bed like you do.
Yeah.
Well, and I think like that's a long care is so fucking insignificant to that, but in law especially, it's the whole point of you get dealt a setback and try to overcome. Like that's all you can do in life.
Yeah.
And lawn care is certainly like a microcosm of that, but again an insignificant one. But it's all about, hey, best laid plans. Shit doesn't go this way. Well, we got to pivot. We got to do something else, right?
Exactly.
And you do
Exactly.
as best you can.
Exactly. I'm going to tell you that until I was told you were blind,
That's bullshit.
no, I did not think anything of it.
Good.
And you know why I don't think anything of it? Okay. I get something that taps my damn ass every time
See that.
I meet
Cold winter air.
a new customer. They take one look at me, and you know what comes out of their mouth? The first thing that comes out of their mouth?
You're a funny looking Filipino.
Worse. Worse.
Yeah, redneck in that.
Worse. Okay, you know what I get? So what I typically get from these people, and it kind of chaps my ass, is they ask me, okay, so when can I expect the crew of people to do this work?
Oh.
I said, no. This is it. You're looking at who's going to get this done right here.
So my cousin, it's interesting, as one of your senses fades, you tend to pick up in other areas. Like, for instance, my cousin is an extremely talented musician.
Mhm.
Plays just about every instrument you can think of and does so with expertise. It's interesting you chose law, and with it being so communicative dominant, right?
Mhm.
Do you feel like, as your vision has waned, that has helped even in your law and lawn care
I think
practice?
so. I think so. I really do. I really do think it's helpful. One thing when people say, "Oh my," and when they say, "Oh, you lose one sense, other ones get better," right? I don't think it physically or honestly is off the charts better. You get more attuned to
Sure.
that sense, right? You
Sure.
get so attuned to that. You get a hearing test. Mine's or it's the same, right? We had the same hearing, but I rely on that.
I wonder if even your ability to perceive people's emotions through the way they talk,
Oh yeah,
to be able to
So,
read that
Mhm.
and
Yep.
respond to that,
I'm
becomes
guessing.
you know,
Yeah.
accident.
I'm guessing that because Zach can't see literally see. Instead, what he does is he just does what I do and just totally pays attention and remembers everything
Ray,
for better or worse.
Ray, you know what I see coming?
Yeah.
A bulldozer.
Yep.
No bullshit, bulldozer.
Because that is that is what it is that I have to make up for a lot of things myself.
Right.
But the way I make up for it is with my memory
Mm-hmm.
and comprehension and
bedside man.
and attention.
Yeah.
Because I literally have to warn people, if you say something in front of me or do something in front of me, make sure you want me to remember it. I literally have to warn people about that.
Well, and I think it's just it goes to the whole point that you can only limit yourself. That's the only thing. You
Yep.
can let other people limit you as much as you want, but you only limit yourself.
What's the old saying? You're your own. You are your own worst enemy.
Mhm.
You know, big believer.
Yeah. That's words to live by.
And in the facet of leadership as well too, I think even more so you have the leg to stand on that, you could say, I wouldn't ask anybody to do anything that I wouldn't be able to, right?
Mhm.
Because clearly you've done it. Not only have you built a business, you've built multiple businesses.
Mhm.
Not only have you worked a career in lawn care, but then you went back and you got a law degree. It went LSAT, then
Yep.
bar test.
Yep.
So your ability to achieve is extreme, right? I mean, that's an achiever's mindset. And I think from a leadership perspective, especially from a business ownership perspective, setting high expectations for your employees and being the example of what they can live up to, because nothing has stopped you from fucking doing the damn thing.
Right.
No,
Right.
it's like you were saying about education in the beginning, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It just comes down to you have to have that mindset of perseverance, right?
Yep.
That
Yeah.
That's true.
as bad as it could get, still ain't that bad. And it can only get better. Like if you sit buckle down and you do the
Mhm.
fucking work, like
Yeah.
it's gonna get better.
Yeah.
Don't go backwards.
And it's not
Do
going to
not
get better
go
until you do
backwards. Yeah,
something
not go
about it.
Yeah.
What final questions do you have for Zach?
Okay, Ray, I'm going to got a question because the Dosatron's coming.
Hey, sir. Make my day.
No, I don't know. I mean, I talked to you because the Discord's hard for me to navigate. So I
Yeah.
did ask you once about using the urea sulfate,
Mhm.
sulfate urea.
Mhm.
Is there a certain one to get?
No, they're all made to basically a certain standard.
Right.
And okay, when you're using something like urea sulfate,
Mm-hmm.
the way that it is actually used is the amount administered in the water is titrated to produce that target pH. So I cannot just fly blind and tell you, okay, Zach, we're going to throw in, say, 5 ounces per 1,000 gallons,
Right, right.
because that would be oversimplifying it,
Well-
because it's all dependent on how many carbonates and bicarbonates and hydroxides,
Mhm.
the alkaline producing materials you got within the water.
Right.
So-
What I'm asking you is just I don't want the components, right,
Uh-huh.
of the dosatron, to be, to put in urea sulfate.
Okay, what I suggest is there is a version that is extremely acid and chemical resistant that uses what's called hastelloy spring metal
Okay.
inside
Oh.
and a fluoropolymer body called a kynar body, and I recognize that one as the translucent white one instead of the bright blue dosatron.
Okay. So, but it's Dosatron, Dosamatic should have. They should go
Those,
that way.
yes, yes.
Now, I guess another question I have, because one of my suppliers is Wilbur Ellis out of Idaho.
Yep.
He has talked about price and sulfur. You know, we are talking about the whole sulfur pH, and he had a sulfur, call it sulfur DF, 80%, water soluble. You know, it has a fungicide label, major fungicide. He says a lot of his orchards are using it.
Hey,
And I kind of thought, if it's water soluble,
wait a
can I
minute.
put it in it? Well,
Wait a minute. You cannot.
Oh.
And the
Damn it!
no, and let me explain why.
Okay.
The reason why you cannot is because I know what sulfur DF is too, is
Okay.
because I use it. And the way I use it is, imagine me applying 1 pound per 1,000 square foot of that in a spray mix. And that is why I need stupid agitation in my spray equipment
Okay.
so that I can deal with.
So it actually forms a suspension.
Okay.
So it's
get it.
insoluble particulate that's going to suspend in the water, and why it requires such intense agitation.
Okay. And I have mechanical pumps, paddle pumps, right? They got the big paddles. Is that going to be not enough?
Yes. Like if you have the
so-
old school John Bean spray units, for example.
Well, they're round. They're the Tough Lex.
Oh, the Tough Lex. Okay.
You know, the paddle.
And they have the paddle operated off of the pulley.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh
sir.
yeah.
That is what you need because
I'm a
you see.
huge advocate of that.
Okay, because the reason why I say that is because a pound per in 5 gallons of water over 1,000 square foot, and then irrigated in immediately.
Right.
That is one of the most effective ways to apply sulfur for pH correction.
Okay.
I mean, that is even more immediate than Tiger Soul 90.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So basically, if I can keep it in solution, I'm okay.
You're okay.
I'm okay. It's just okay. Not an old Lesco jet agitation system's getting
No. Putting
right?
a little what is it? The old crucifix agitator that you throw at the bottom of it.
Yeah. I tell you, Zach's got some of the heaviest lifting FAFO suggestions. It's just heavy shit, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna get a grant. We're gonna talk to the 1,000-gallon tank, right? I want you to dump all this goddamn sulfur in there, and I want you to agitate the shit out of it, right?
Just take the shit out of it and then throw that down.
And then throw that on your Bermuda lawn, all right? Stop the pussy.
Yeah, 5 gallons of spray mix per 1,000, and then repeat
I'm gonna
that.
have some great. But,
No.
Oh yeah, that's-
And then you know what you're going to do with that flowable or suspension
the DF,
sulfur, the DF? Imagine applying that every month during the growing season.
Yeah, no, I just
Put it down. I mean,
okay. I just
throw it down.
I mean, it had a major.
No,
It had a major fungicide label. You know.
Yeah,
And then-
because actually, I looked at that, and some of the products that I've come across,
Mm-hmm.
they have a little loophole on the label where they say may be used as a micronutrient for crops.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that one did, but I get what you're saying. I
Yeah,
get what you're
and
saying.
sure.
Because, for example, in turf grass and plants,
Mm-hmm.
the next element needed for the turf or the plants to be green is actually sulfur.
Exactly.
So if you're sulfur deficient,
Mm-hmm.
you can throw down all the nitrogen you want
Person, you
and
don't.
all the iron you want, and the plant is still going to be limited or held back because here's exactly what sulfur does to plants. Sulfur is the building block for essential amino acids within the plant. So if it doesn't have sulfur, the poor plant can't even grow because you're cutting off or limiting its ability to produce amino acids. And now we don't think about amino acids for animals or people so much because what? We just
Consume them.
consume them
Can't produce our own.
via plants or my favorite subject,
Meat.
meat. Yeah. But in a plant, they have to have a way to produce that essential amino acid complex.
Right.
So, and sulfur is needed in conjunction with nitrogen to make that happen. Because, you've heard me talk before where my preference for a nitrogen source, unless the soil is extremely acid, tends to go towards ammonium sulfate, right? Not urea. I prefer ammonium sulfate.
Right.
And the reason why I prefer it is because what's in ammonium sulfate? Nitrogen and 24% sulfur.
Yeah, exactly. I guess so. In the citric acid, doing applications, right? This is the first year I've ever, my guys have put it down. Can I put the manganese micronutrient with?
Absolutely.
I don't want to cry.
What, you didn't. So real quick, talk about what is a product or some products that he could use in that situation, high pH, mixing with citric acid
Okay.
to make that an easy one and done application.
That's like it was kind of getting at the DF, right?
Okay,
Trying to do it all.
because
Right.
because I'm gonna drop a bomb on you right now on turf that is definitely having a pH issue. Here's what my mix would look like. Literally, 1 pound citric acid, 1 pound sulfur DF, 1 ounce manganese sulfate, 2 ounces ferrous sulfate,
Yeah.
and 1/4 ounce zinc sulfate, and 1/8 of an ounce copper sulfate in the tank. Lots of vegetation.
Damn.
Send it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if I have the balls to mix sulfur DF and citric acid the same
I
thing.
was gonna say that's a heavy.
However,
That's a heavy
jar
load.
test?
That's a heavy load.
No,
Yeah.
no. However,
That should all that would work.
Okay.
however,
You gotta
one
irrigate.
caveat to this is that
Oh.
when I apply this,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, I thought you were snapping it
Do you
with a hand.
No. I was saying you got to water immediately.
yeah,
You want another one?
The rye or the 6 grain, the 4 grain. Okay.
Sorry, I thought you were.
No. I was saying you got those two in the tank. We got to water like right now.
Here's me talk about how when I apply something that potentially caustic, I'm literally spraying it in front of an irrigation system that is switching on.
Oh,
Yeah, like chasing right behind you.
Yeah, it's like, okay, it's like flipping on zone by zone, and I'm spraying ahead of that area
Right.
because this is not one where it's good enough for me to spray this thing out, which is a super hot mix, and then I leave the customer a note or an email that says, please water this in.
Extremely hot.
But not only that, you're running like a 3-minute set just to knock it off the leaf, and then you turn it back on again for
Right.
like a 6. Just quick, right through. Yeah.
I short cycled it to
Mhm.
knock it off of the leaves and
Of
get it
course.
into the
Of course.
soil. And then now that I have that high concentration mix, like right on the thatch layer and the roots, I then continue watering to dilute this mix so that I don't kill the lawn.
Watering.
And
This is the baking soda portion.
And I guess most of my tanks are three gallons a minute.
that's
And that's that's
Yeah.
that'll work. That'll work.
This
This
could be
I love
fun.
the setup. That was my Fairway Lawn setup was 600-gallon tank,
Mhm.
and then I had 200-gallon drop tanks, and just sprayed 3 gallons a minute
So what I have is I have
with the paddle agitation.
I have the 400-gallon paddle agitation. And I have a separate, just 50-gallon for pest control tank. But on the gram, the 400, I have a dual hose spray. Okay, so I have the main solution but I also have a Gregson Clark. It's a second hose reel. You know, the injection gun.
Yep.
So when my guys, basically the idea is when they're going on their second round, second, third, I can either put Quinclorac in there, or if I'm early, sometimes I'll put some Gallery in the tank to do the edges.
Sure.
Pull that second trigger, right?
Yep.
And they can just isolate what they do. I think it's good. My guys bitch about the hose is heavy though. It's basically a dual hose, right?
Yeah.
You ever use?
Spray with mini dual hoses.
Yeah,
Well,
they're heavy. And then the 3/8 hose are like, this is like a baby.
Yeah, it is.
So
Well, I mean, that's like kind of isolating or narrowing it down, because gallery. I've been shouting from the tops of the mountains, why are people that have persistent spurge problems, why are they not using gallery on the areas and on the
the hot
lawns
spots,
that have
Yep.
trouble? Because
I know.
I could see, for example, like in a very large lawn where the hell strip and next to the driveway is a spurge nightmare.
Yep.
Why is that area not getting treated with gallery BF
Yep.
in the spring?
I agree.
And why is that not being done along with, say, your prodiamine or your dimension application? Because dimension and prodiamine are not that strong on spurge.
They're
Yeah.
not. They're mostly the grassy.
Yeah.
It's mostly a crabgrass type of a deal,
Yeah.
right? So I think you kind of got it right where you start incorporating gallery, and I get the pushback where, oh, gallery is so expensive, but okay, what does it cost you when you fail to be able to control spurge? What is the cost of that to your business?
Especially if you're having to treat it on service call.
Exactly.
because,
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
yeah, and now you're really getting smoked. And like you said, if you're doing direct targeted applications to areas where you know you have a history
You're
of it,
going to? It's not that expensive.
no.
It's a blanket app.
Yeah.
And so and that's more people should do that. And I think that's
It's
something
same with it's really the same with the Quinclorac on the edges, right?
Yeah.
Start seeing that shit. You don't have to go pull a hand can. Pull your second trigger, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it up, one and done.
Yeah.
Done. Get it done.
There's a whole-
Only from Kelly Coleman.
Twat.
Yeah. You
This is
see,
why we're on testosterone.
yeah,
Thank you.
this is why, okay?
Right.
This is why, because you see, yeah, I get that all the time. It's like, oh, this rig is so heavy. And Matt, did I tell you about like one of my friends? He's this 6 foot something guy, about 200 plus pounds, big guy. He makes me look like a midget. And I say, here, man, go try my engine drive backpack. He picked it up, put it on. He said, thanks, this is heavy. And he put it right back down.
I just like to establish this point, show history that, he talked about his rig being heavy. Kelly Coleman owns a trucking company. Kelly Coleman from this point forward would now be known as the rig.
The rig.
Pulling heavy.
Yeah, pulling heavy loads.
But
Don't weigh me on the
Up to
scale.
44 pounds.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't put me on the scale.
but Zach, it's all about, correct me if I'm wrong, using
That's 44. It weighs 60.
the kind of equipment that's going to do the job,
Mhm.
right?
True.
It's all about the right kind of equipment that's going to do the job.
Yep.
And I can give you one more little hint about applying that mix with the
The copper, the zinc, and the DF, and
sulfur DF.
Yep, citric acid.
I find that in recent years, what has helped me is I use what's called a suspension agent.
Yes.
And what are you using? Are you using
You use-
polysorbate or
No, what I'm using is
xanthan gum?
I'm applying or adding about an ounce of xanthan gum per 100 gallons of spray solution.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you get that to mix nicely is I first dry mix that with my sulfur DF. Because here's the thing about xanthan gum. It's a pain in the tail to get it to mix into water. Because if you just throw it in dry, undiluted, or mixed with something, it clumps up and it turns into a ball of goo.
Yep.
But if you have it like pre-combined with the other powders, and then you throw that whole thing in, it's probably going to just mix very nicely. And what that'll do is that'll make it easier to keep the sulfur DF in suspension.
Have you ever used hyaluronic acid?
I never have.
I haven't, not yet.
I guess well, the mix you gave me, Ray,
Mhm.
should what's stopping from throwing a wedding agent in there as well?
Please don't.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Actually,
I'm glad I
no, actually, my concern is more like I don't want the following mix that I described to you to penetrate into the leaf tissue of
You
the
want
grass
you
at
okay.
all.
That makes sense now.
I
I
don't
totally- I get
because I've seen some horrific things happen
it. Right.
by people combining a soil wetting agent
Mm-hmm.
with various products in that you turned what was going to be a relatively safe and doable application into one that smoked the grass.
Or you're shoveling tapioca out of your
I've seen shit out of
You got
acids
fucking
and,
jello in the tank.
wedding agents.
even certain pesticide fertilizers.
Yeah.
You'll get weird.
I've always had some weird chemical interactions.
Well,
I
And
was being slick one time. Boy, I was not
I'll tell-
stupid. Thank you.
yeah, I'll tell you what probably happened. That wetting agent probably reacted with something acidic. And here's what happens to a wetting agent. When you combine a wetting agent with something that is extremely acidic, for example, and it's not compatible with that particular acid, it will break the wetting agent into its respective fatty acid and ester or base. I mean,
Oops.
please forgive me for, knowing this because, I was one of those people where, okay, in my college days, confession, I didn't really study before my chemistry exams.
It's all those impure thoughts, right?
Okay. And
Study before chemistry exams.
yeah, and I may or may not have had a lot of bourbon or scotch,
Black hole things.
beforehand. But then
Man.
I'm just saying that, okay,
Not one, two straws.
yeah, wetting agents also, my ideal way to
$100.
apply a wetting agent, Zach, is
Could afford it.
by itself, or if not by itself, with
Not typo.
the compatible NRS fungicide.
Okay.
Because here's the other thing about applying an NRS fungicide. If possible, or actually this is mandatory,
Glue stick.
is when you apply an NRS fungicide, that is something that I would be spraying in front of a running irrigation system.
Okay, like the combo, the
Yeah, similar
Yeah.
to because I don't want that to dry
No,
on the leaves. I want it in the soil.
no, and I get that. I guess I just want to be clear. The wetting agent and the fungicide is okay to combine.
Yes.
That's
Not-
okay.
Okay, not put
Yeah.
the wetting agent a week later and start or earlier. Sorry, make it keep working. But that's okay.
Yeah, so like layering those things into the program, not necessarily in the tank, right?
Yeah,
Those
exactly. That's what I'm trying to.
Yeah, I think what might help is lay out what you think that you want to do,
Mhm.
and then either
shoot it over.
send it over in an email, and we'll be happy to
Okay.
take it apart and put it back together as far as like how to layer that in the program. 'Cause
Right.
I'm excited about this one. This is like the follow-up episode to this.
Bermuda, hybrid Bermuda. Living in the basement.
I'm gonna make my man.
Takes his taxes and drops them off on the way to my house.
Yeah, I just ate.
Gigolo Ray turning tricks in the basement.
Hey, you know what? This is so bad. This is terrible. I should send a picture. So it's an older home, but there's this little cutout in the basement, and
Right,
it's a little stage. It's got a little stage where people are, the old homeowner put trophies and shit. Oh, it's the midget stripper stage.
I think it's little people stripper picking.
Okay, I'm not Pete.
Hey.
So, yeah.
What? Check me on that.
Hey, it sounded authoritarian.
I don't know. Listen, man, this has been a hell of an episode. Hell of a live episode too. It's been fun.
Yeah.
We got an audience here. We got the live YouTube comment section back here that has been talking amongst themselves. But seriously, we can't thank you enough for coming all this way to see us. Number one,
Yeah.
appreciate the hell out of that. And I'm glad we got to do this one live. This one was an extra special one.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, thanks. It's fun. You guys are awesome. You know, it was fun.
We appreciate it, man. So,
It was
all right.
worth the wait, J Pink.
And we're going to set a date so you can come back on.
Oh,
J
for
Pink's
sure.
already booking out till he's booking in 2023 already. He's a planner. He's a prepper.
Well, we gotta get
Glad
some Brazil.
I'm going to work on that.
We gotta get some.
I'm going to work on that. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get out of here, go do some more stuff in Louisville. We thank you. And thanks to our audience here, our studio audience. All right, we'll see you on the flip side.
I love it.